Right, welcome back. Live once more with the NxtGen boys. And Dragon Trail Seaside, as you can see, just free practice at the minute. The guys are getting their eye in, Ruddo's getting familiar with the death chicane. Let me just do my usual thing of getting the link sent around, and then we can JPH, I tried to go in your party, but I just couldn't hear a thing, so now live on Twitch, say hello. Share link, copy it. Okay, so let's get the NxtGen page up. Right, that's that ready. This is the awkward bit about streaming. I just wish I had a button that I could push. Did it all for me now, live with the PMR eSeries. Paste. That Short Racing Club, get those guys in on it as well. Discord, only posting 2 on there, so that shouldn't take me too long. Thing is, I have to be live for this to actually work. Live streamers, there we go. And then we'll go on cliches. And we'll go and give Hunty a raid as well. Alrighty then, so Bob, how are we doing, Bob? Good luck tonight, mate. Well done for last night as well. If you didn't know, Bob, yeah, Bob races in a GT3 league on a Wednesday night, and he did really well last night. My boy, I'm alright, mate, I'm alright. Evening JPH99. I am very good, mate, I am very good. Yeah, I've got your message. I saw the thing in the chat anyway, so I was going to talk about it during quali. So we'll see here. We've not got too many in the room, have we? Let's have a look. We've got 8 at the minute that are out on track. JPH is not on track yet, but there's a couple. So at the minute on track, we've got Hiracram, got Ruddo, got Frederick, got Jano, got Swargy, Bobby, P Gib, and Bruce Lee Harding. Bruce Lee Harding, of course, high off after a win last time out, you'll remember. Brands Hatch, so he managed to become victorious last time out, pick up his first win of the season. So he'll be looking for a good result here as well. Just really get really close to the wall there, Bruce Lee Harding. Yeah, so anyone unfamiliar with what this is, what we're doing, this is Power Maxed Racing, the eSeries. So when lockdown started, Power Max sponsored a load of sim racing events. This is one of them. This is run by NxtGen Racing, and it's designed to be a short sort of pick it up and drive series in spec cars. So these are Renault Megane trophies, are all matched to the exact same power and weight. and they all have to run the same tyre in the same conditions. Everything is the same except for the person driving it, so it's really good. You get a 10-minute qualifying session and a 20-minute race as well, so you do really need to maximise your opportunities in a short race. Going qualifying in a minute, that's like I say, a quick 10-minute qualifying session. There is no tyre wear or fuel depletion on, so it's just hot lapping for 10 minutes. It does tend to prove quite testing for the drivers because sometimes you can get stuck in traffic. This track, Dragon Trail Seaside, one of Gran Turismo's what they call original circuits, so it's one that they designed themselves. It's pretty unique in the sense it's based around 3 hairpins. There's a couple of sort of chicane or SS sections dotted in. The chicane one that Hyrochrom's coming up to now, probably the most fun in these Meganes. And then you got the chicane of death as well. So that's the one right at the end of your lap, and that's the one that all the drivers will have been dreading or not dreading. We do have a rule in place for that. Basically, it's an enforced yellow flag, which means there's no overtaking in that section. It's just to prevent absolute carnage, because it can happen. These boys, I'll give them credit, you don't get it with these lads. They're a good bunch of racers, they know what they're doing, they've been doing this for quite a while now, so you don't tend to get absolute chaos. I've written a will for this week. Mate, it needs to be done. The amount of times I think every sim race that's played Gran Turismo Sport has bailed it at the death chicane at least once. It is a famous corner. I'll just watch Hyrochrome, we'll just jump on board Hyrochrom's car, that's easy does it. So you need to treat this as one big looping corner essentially, which is what Hyrochrom's doing quite nicely here. He nudges the wall, you see, even a top split alien pro like Hyrochrome, even these guys get it wrong from time to time. So he's just got his angle in a little bit wrong. You see Collector Jano as well. So the enforced yellows for that section, is to prevent people going for moves there, which will happen from time to time. Right, are we expecting any more drivers, JPH, or is it just 9 of us? It's just 9. Quali starting. Okie dokie. I know we've no burnt fire this week. I think he has more weeks off than he does actual racing. JPH is still rocking the Keep Fighting Abigail and Eleanor. Of course, that's for DMK's kids that, as far as I'm aware, are still in hospital following a premature birth some 4 months ago now. So again, I'll start off the stream with wishing them all the best, and our thoughts are with him and his family at the minute, because it can't be an easy time for any of them. We're going to have about 9 drivers on circuit today, which is enough for this circuit. It's quite short. Let me just grab the championship standings. They were sent out the other day, so let me just grab those. We'll go through the points. I'll give you an idea as to where people are after the race at Brands Hatch. So Hyrochrome still leading the way. He's on 65 points, well clear of everyone else. But after that great win at Brands Hatch the other day, this man, Mr. Bruce Lee Harding, in the Dread Kart, he now occupies P2 in the championship, closely followed by Ruddo, who is just 6 points adrift of Bruce Lee Harding in P3. Jano then occupies P4. Again, very close between all the drivers now, really, just a couple of points separate all of them. So Jano in P4, Frederick G in P5, Burnt Fry, who rarely races, is P6, JPH P7, P-Gib P8, Swoggy P10 and Wace, Swoggy P9 and Wace P10. We also have in there as well Bobby and Mark Miller. I think Mark has some out-of-work commitments and probably won't be able to race much of the rest of the season. We might see him dip in the occasional time, but real life has to come first, so I might not see too much of Mark now. If you're interested in driving in this, get onto NxtGen Racing on Facebook and get yourself involved. It's a really nice, neat little series. You don't really have to put too much effort into it just to get in and have some fun driving. So we'll be interested to see how Bobby gets on this time round. He's in good form at the minute, Bobby, so I'll be looking for a result from him. Cliche, how are you doing? Thanks for dropping on by, buddy. So hot laps are underway then, the first of many. Ruddo's going to be the first one to set us a time. We won't have much of an idea. Oh, and here is Wace. We won't have much of an idea as to where the standings are really until everyone completes a lap. Thanks for following, Terence. 322B is the 22B an Impreza reference? The is the 22B the 3-door Impreza? Is that the one I'm thinking of? Burntfry's in this one. He's meant to be, Cliche. Burntfry's meant to be in this one, but he never turns up. He tells us he's not coming, like he doesn't just shirk out. He tells us about it, but enter a race series and race it, you know what I mean? I just like giving Burntfry abuse, so I like it when he races because I can just be mean to him. It's great. Wace has left the room. I was going to say if he stayed in, what I think would happen is the guys would reset the lobby after qualifying and get him into the race. They'd have to start at the back, but then get him in. So I wonder if Wace will join in. So first qualifying session, first qualifying time. They're all coming in now. 141.1, 141.8, 40.8 from Jano. I'm looking for a low 40 to be sort of a good pole time here. Bobby gets in there with a 41.0, so he's knocking on the door as well. It's going to be interesting to see what Hirokram can do because he is the championship leader and the one that everyone wants to beat so far. He has been setting purple sector times, and being that he's the last one on track as well, these will be honest sector times, so faster than anyone so far. A little bit wide in the last corner if I may be slightly critical there. But no doubt a tidy lap from Hirokram all the same, and he's going to blast in a 40. It's a 40.1, so 7 tenths faster than Jano on his first flying lap, and he's got enough time for another 4 or 5 laps here. So we'll just see what the other guys have got to answer for that. Can Ruddo put another good lap in a 41.1 for him? So he's pretty much bang on a second slower than Hirokram at the minute. This lap isn't a faster one for him. Let me just get the live timing going. So plenty of drivers on improved times this time around, so we are going to see a shuffle in the order once these drivers come across the line again. So Ruddo's going to be the first one to settle another time, but he's not improving, so he probably won't move anywhere but down at the minute. Jano's one driver now, he's pulled over. Swargy's been in good form as well. Let's see what he can do. Frederick G, 41.0 for Frederick, so that's a good lap, puts him up to P4. Ruddo's going for another one. JPH 42.9 for JPH, but he's still not good enough to lift him into the top 8, so he's P9 for the time being. P-Gib 41.9, so good enough just to shuffle him ahead of Bruce Lee Harding in P7. Bruce Lee Harding, last time's winner, needs to knuckle down and get some laps in now. A lot of new laps being started, so let's see what happens. I see Bobby's got sent to some sort of shadow realm there. What happened to Bobby? So Bobby driving the works car, following Bruce Lee Harding at the close tensions of Jano. Just gets it wrong under braking, I think. So that's Bobby. Just auto driving at the minute, but he's in P3 for the time being, so Bobby's getting a good result in so far. There must have been, let's have a look. So what happened between them two? Let's have a look. To be fair, Bobby, he did that one. No, he didn't do that on purpose, dude. Jano, he's not like that. He wouldn't have hit you on purpose, man. I know you listen to me sometimes when you stream. Yeah, he was drafting you as well, so. And if it was dirty, mate, you know I'd call it dirty, but it's not. No rage quitting, Bob. I'm the rage quitter now. I'm taking your crown. Alright, so Swargy doesn't improve. P-Gib, another driver that has the ability when needed to pull a result out in the steel seal car. He does improve, goes to P6, takes 4 tenths off his lap. Bruce Lee Harding does improve up to P7, leapfrogs over Swargy with a 1:41.7 for Bruce Lee Harding. Swargy then on another fast lap, so he's probably got, these drivers have probably got enough time for 2 flyers. Hyrochrom's going even quicker. Jano's just started another lap. Let's keep an eye on Hyrochrome. He's going to be the next one across the line. At the minute he's on a 1:40.1. Let's just jump on board Hyrochrome for a lap. Oh, nearly gets into the 1:39s, a 1:40.099. Right, so little right hand kink, not really corner, but it's classified as one. You're down into the first chicane, which banks down then up, so you have to be really careful with your car balance here. Don't catch too much of the curb, it will unsettle the car. Be careful of the understeer on the way out as the track banks away from you. You need to be careful the car doesn't run too wide. Again, a little left hand kink, then a right hand kink. Again, be careful just not to run too far wide. Hug the apex on the outside as long as you can, and you can really take a lot of curb off that inside there to lower your lap times. Just be careful it doesn't unsettle the car. Entry into the S is critical for a good lap here. Just a slight lift needed to rotate the car, and then up through the S. There's a slightly raised curbs on the inside here. If you hook your tyres onto those, it will pull you around. Hyrochrome does that very nicely indeed, up through the Pirelli bridge and down towards the harbour. Braking roughly about 125 metres, most of these guys. Down into third, hug the apex yet again and run the car wide. The track opens up here, so you can really start to put the power down early, and then into the Death Chicane complex. Again, like I said earlier, you want to treat this as one big long swooping corner. Slight lift, and Hyrochrome does just nick the wall there. You will see a lot of that, but we'll just carry the lap on. So under the bridge then, if anyone's messed up at the Death Chicane, you will see overspeed happening through this bridge. It's a very wide track drag until Seaside, so anyone wanting to make a move has plenty of opportunity to do that down into the final hairpin. Wide entry for a late apex, and then maximise your speed on the way out past the adoring fans and up onto the start finish straight to start another lap. So that is Dragon Trail Seaside. Let's just get the names off here. I can't get the names off. 1 minute, there we go. Just do that, there we go. Don't like having the names on now, it winds me up a little bit. So at the minute then, Hyrochrome does lead the way, 8 tenths ahead of everybody else. There's a 1:40.0 for him. Jano at the minute P2, and holding steady in P2 as well. I don't think this is a flying lap. Car's certainly not got the attitude for it. Bobby back out on track. About to go through the timing line. Let's see. No, he's down on his time. Is anyone up on the time? We only really have P Gibb that's up on his time at the minute. That's a P Gibb manning the ascendancy. He's just navigating the Death Chicane now, gets a decent run out of that, and another car there just backs out of the way. He might have needed that slipstream just to maximise his lap time. He's got 4 attempts to make up to get himself into P5 here. A good exit from the final corner may well see him in a good stead. Let's keep an eye on the bottom left hand corner to see if anyone improves. JPH does improve. It's still not enough to leapfrog him into the top 8. P Gibb doesn't improve, actually loses time in that last section. I think his what do you call it, Death Chicane wasn't the greatest, I'll be honest. Let's have another quick peek at the timings. No one's on improved time. So at the minute your pole sitter is Hyrochrome. P2 alongside him is going to be Jano. Bobby starts on the second row of the grid in P3 with Frederick G alongside him. Ruddo and P Gibb make up the third row of the grid with Bruce Lee Harding, last time's winner, and Swargy right down in the back of the field with JPH99 bringing up the rear. So that's your 9 drivers for today. Your bro put you off. Was he just shouting obscenities from the other room? Because he knows where you are on track. How rude. You were up on your time though, mate. You were up on your time. I just think you just lost a bit of time in that Death Chicane complex. Okie dokie. So 20 minutes then. Now the drivers are going to have to negotiate that Death Chicane at least 10 times in this lap. Is it 10? Yeah, it's at least 10. Probably about 10-13 laps, something like that. Hyrocrome's going to get us away from the front. Let's turn the names off. Let's turn that info back on. And we're ready to go at Dragon Trail Seaside. The lights go out and away we go. A car at the back gets off poorly, but everyone gets away well. JPH actually looks to have got a better start than Bruce Lee Harding there. Jano tucks up underneath the back end of Hyrochrome with Bobby following him in behind, getting very clustered in this battle for P3. with all the cars coming down into the chicane for the first time. Everyone's very nicely behaving through there. Bobby's pushing Hirakram out. Actually, Jano got a leapfrog up to P1. We've replay marked that. Unless something catastrophic happens, we'll go and have a look at how that happened. It's getting a little bit battly then between Bobby and Frederick G. There was a little bit of contact there as again through the right hand kink, and that has shoved Bobby down to P4. Bobby keeps his head, he can have that place back. He's just going to have to go single file through the SS section and look for a move. Who's going to be the first one to make a mistake at the chicane of death then? Answers in comments. Who do you think is going to be the first one to send it into the wall? The first one that will get there is Jano, who's pulling a slight gap to Hirakram. Hirakram's having to think about his mirrors quite a lot. Frederick G is actually putting some pressure on the championship leader. And then the 7th Geisen car going really well today, and that's Bobby, who's I'm afraid we're not going to go back and have a look at how Jano got ahead, because I want to go back and have a look at that instead. Let's have a look at them all as they go through the chicane of death. The first 3 cars through just fine. Let's have a look at the next bunch. Everyone surviving just about. Bobby gets a little scrape on the wall. Let's go and have a look at what happened with Bobby just a moment ago. So he was following Frederick G down. I think he just got late on the brakes. Oh, he actually got hit. No, Bobby did get a nudge there. And then another one. Bobby's getting beaten up in this one. Bobby manages to get past Swargy. Something's happened to Swargs. Bobby's actually left the room, so yeah, Swargy just did that to himself, I'm afraid. So yeah, Bobby, and we're down to 8 once again. So yeah, there's a couple of them moves on Bob I did, and I will sort of say did look a bit pushy, but that will all be looked at after the race. Meanwhile, order has been resumed at the front. Hirakram is ahead, and ahead by nearly 2 seconds. Jano, something's happened to him because he's lost a lot of time there, and he's now got Frederick G breathing down his neck. The top 3 though are starting to pull a little bit of a gap. P. Gibbs starting to lose touch with that battle a little bit. He could do with Jano and Frederick battling a little bit. P. Gibb holding P4 at the minute, so good thing for him. Bruce Lee Harding, I was just going to say, he's doing really well, but Woodo's just about going to get him back there. And he's picked up a penalty for losing time as well, so thanks GT Sport. But the Dread car had a good start, and it's just hemorrhaged places in the last lap or so. Swargy down to P7. And JPX89 is bringing up the back of the field, quite a way back I'm afraid this time around actually as well. Bob, yeah, no need to apologise for me, mate. I can kind of see where you're coming from, mate, you know what I mean. I did pick it up in comms. Right, meanwhile, we've had some action on track. Hirakram got it wrong at the dash chicane, and we're going to go back and have a look at that. So if you had your money on Hirakram to be the first one to make a mistake at the chicane of death, then your payout is due. Jano's also dropped into the clutches of Woodo as well, with P. Gibb now making it past him. So it's all change at the front. With Hirakram now going for a move around the outside of Frederick G. Is he going to make that done down into the chicane? He does. Good move by Hirakram. And he is now back up into P1. Let's go and have a look at what happened to him. So chicane of death, yeah, just the car just gets unsettled on him. Jano does the same sort of thing. So both drivers, the same corner, losing a lot of time. Hirakram's managed to get himself back up there because I think he built up that much of a buffer, and he was able to get back pretty quick. Jano, of all people, now actually the fastest person on track, so the Adrian Flux car is like a rocket ship at this minute in time. So he's looking to get past P. Gibb. P. Gibb runs it a little bit wide in the S's, that does lose you quite a bit of time. And with the slipstream as well, Jano's now going to move within shooting range down into the chicane. Is he going to look for a move? Jano later on the brakes. I think P. Gibb just kind of let that happen, in fairness, didn't really put up too much of a fight. Sometimes at this stage in the race it's quite a sensible thing to do. You might as well use the driver for a little bit of slipstream advantage. Any more mistakes at the chicane of death? Oh, Jano just smacked the wall. P. Gibb just about gets out of his way in time. And again, like I said in pre-race, this is where all the action is going to happen. Ruddo manages to get through as well. So that brings the order back to something like it should be. So leading us out of lap 3 into lap 4, Hirakram sets fastest lap of the race, 41.0. Frederick G P2 for the time being, P-Gib P3, but he's in a fight with Ruddo for that, and Jano's looking at the back of these guys thinking, I will just wait for you guys to fight. P-Gib basically lets these guys past. He didn't really fight that one at all then. I'll be honest, I think he knows his fights with other people and doesn't want to get held up too much. That might be his strategy, or these two might just be absolute aliens. So we're 5 minutes in and we've already had so many position changes I can't possibly keep count of them all. The top 6 relatively close together. We've got Swargy who's dropped off a little bit. I think if you remember, he did have that wide run off in the last turn, so he's picking up the pace now, but he's 6 seconds adrift. But he has got a decent gap over JPX99. I think we're only 8 drivers. We've got to have the merged lobbies conversation at some point if the other lobby hasn't got a turnout as well, because this is I'd like to talk over, I like full lobbies. It's better for the channel. Now here he comes in some clean air. He can put the hammer down a little bit. He's going to look to build a gap to Frederick G. He's made a couple of mistakes in practice at that chicane of death, so he will need a little bit of a gap. Frederick seems a little bit more assured through there. He's one of the only drivers I've not seen make a mistake through that chicane unless I've missed it. That's been Jano's Achilles heel this time round as well. He's definitely got the pace to be at the very least on the podium, if not challenging for a P2. It's just a case of who can make the least mistakes around this track by the looks of things. So we've got another 13 minutes to see what happens. Hirocom ups the ante of the fastest lap pace with a 140.6, and in that lap alone has pulled a second on Frederick G. The battle for P3's getting a little bit close. Jano and Ruddo at this time being, it doesn't look like neither of them are giving too much hassle at the minute. Ruddo in the Mastervolt car as we look back at Jano. There's about 4 tenths between them. It's not really shooting range for Gino at this minute in time, but with the way this track is, you can just wait for the guy ahead to make a mistake. The chances of that happening are actually quite high. P-Gib, through maybe some sensible decisions during the race, has got himself in a P5 position. He's got a little bit of a gap to Bruce Lee Harding, but Bruce Lee Harding is coming for him, so the Dread driver, who was running higher up than this before he got a little bit of a moment coming up through the S's, and definitely has the pace and he's in form as well. He had a really good race last time out, and the nerves must have been racking for Bruce Lee Harding last time out as well. Yeah, just the 8 drivers to talk about, so let's just keep flicking back through the pack. You can just see how much, I mean, I had a few laps just before Bruce Lee Harding makes an error there. He was chasing down P-Gib. That's going to give P-Gib a bit of breathing room. I don't think Swoggy's going to get that close to him. He's going to get within a couple of seconds, but Bruce Lee Harding will get up to speed in time, I think. Yeah, he does. Okay, so that does take Bruce Lee Harding out of the equation a little bit for the time being. 5.2 seconds is the gap now between Bruce Lee Harding and P-Gib. P-Gib has lost about a second to the guys ahead, so despite their little infighting, there's still 4 tenths between Jano and Ruddo. Despite their little infighting, these guys, they are pulling a gap to the cars behind. So to be fair, if I were them, I'd just keep doing what you're doing for the next sort of 5 or 6 minutes. You can, as long as you're pulling in Frederick G, that's all you really need to worry about, because you don't want to let this man get too far away. So Frederick then kind of keeping Hirocom honest a little bit. 1.7 seconds is the gap. Yes, that's a big gap as you look at it, but anyone that's watched this series knows that Hirocom is a very fast guy, and yeah, 1.7 seconds isn't a huge gap. Put it this way, Hirocom's one of the only ones that we've seen make a mistake at the chicane of death, so Frederick's definitely within shooting range if he makes it again. Gets a little bit of scrape of the wall. That's going to mess his angle up, but he tidies it up. So a driver of his quality, I'd expect nothing less. Jano then through that section has lost a ton of time to Ruddo. Ruddo got that really tidy. Jano instead has lost pretty much a second going through there. P-Gib just 2.5 seconds back. Importantly for P-Gib is increasing the gap over the Dread car. So not by much, but Bruce Lee Harding now just under the 6 second mark away. Swargy 2.4 seconds behind. We know Swargy's a driver that is quick as well. He's not a slow dude. So Swargy now holding P7. Fastest lap again by Hirocom, 40.5 this time around. Just keeps chipping time away, and he has, ever since I've mentioned the gap, he has added 5 tenths to it. So Frederick's now starting to lose Hirocom a little bit. The gap between Frederick and Ruddo now down to 1.9. So again, if Ruddo and Gino can just work together for the next 5 minutes, there's a chance he can get involved in a battle for P2 towards the end of the race. They might as well be fighting for P2 rather than squabbling over a P3. P-Gib just keeping it nice and consistent. That's really what he's got to focus on. He's just got to focus on getting his lines right and just keeping it calm for the remaining time in the race, because he's still within range of capitalising on any mistakes the guys ahead make. So again, an outside chance of a podium for P-Gib if he just keeps his head on, because these guys might well push too hard and make a mistake. Right at this point on the track, Hirocom negotiates the depth chicane perfectly, no problem at all. Frederick G does the same. Ruddo, great, but he just got it a bit slidey on exit. That is going to allow Jano to close up a few temps. Wasn't a big mistake at all. Just the inner curb just does unsettle the car, and unless you catch it, and catching it means taking your foot off the gas a little bit. Unless you catch it, it's kind of game over. Swargy's reeling Bruce Lee Harding in slowly but surely. He's going to be within range very soon of a move. JPH, we haven't really mentioned JPH too much. Do apologise, not really racing with anyone at the minute. We're catching though as he just makes a nudge on the depth chicane wall. The guys at PowerMax Racing will be wincing on that one. The medical car in real life would have been dispatched for that, no doubt. So here we come then, continuing to build the gap over Frederick G. 3 seconds now. Frederick still got some good pace. He's actually pulled a gap on Ruddo behind, so he's setting his personal best lap times at the minute. He's pulled 5 tenths on the cars behind. Jano has reeled Ruddo back in again. So Jano, undoubtedly, out of this sort of pack, the fastest one. He's definitely the man in the ascendancy. These two will squabble. I can guarantee you Ruddo's not going to let him by easily. So that gap back down to 4 tenths. Once you're at this sort of distance, following does become difficult. You do get a little bit of aero disturbance from the car ahead. So Jano needs to do things to negate that. That will be responsible for a lot of these little mistakes you're seeing at the chicane of death. You can hear Jano now just being a little bit more sensible, just making sure his lines are good. Does nick the wall a little bit. But I think Ruddo made a tiny mistake there as well, so he gets away with that for the time being. So that's the battle for P3. And I will say, with the gap at 2.6 seconds to Frederick G and only growing, these guys have got to work together to catch Frederick now. If they squabble, P2's gone. P-Gib then. Kind of in no man's land at the minute, 5 seconds either side, but again, just needs to plug away to keep doing what he's been doing all race. The race might come to him yet. The gap between Bruce Lee Harding and Swargy's actually grown slightly now. There's been a mistake made somewhere. 2 seconds is the gap between these two drivers. As we see Bruce Lee Harding make a bit of a mistake at the chicane, that's going to bring them closer together yet again. So the Garage 4 Tile Company still pushing within sensible limits, the number 98 car, and trying to catch the Dread car, which should be wearing number 88, I think. And that is, yeah, it's quite a way adrift to P-Gib there, but holding firmly P6 at the minute. The battle to be watching is this one between Ruddo and Jano, and the closest action on track by a country mile. Nicely negotiates that. This is a virtual yellow flag zone from pretty much this point onwards. Unless you are side by side, you can't go. So you have to back out. Very rarely. Oh, Jano gets a bit of a wobble on there. That's going to lose him a few temps down the straight. See what I mean? As soon as he gets close to Ruddo, then the aero disturbance just kicks the car out. Does mess his line up a little bit, and off he goes into Neverland. He managed to rescue that nicely, then did Jano. The Club 100 is his name, of course, a nod to the karting group Club 100, of which he is a member and does races with. Much like another YouTuber, Super GT, who also gets involved in that. I think Jimmy Broadbent does it as well. I do like my karting myself, just a shame I'm not very good at it. So what's the gap? Here I come, 4 seconds over Frederick G. The gap between Frederick and Ruddo stayed pretty similar, 2.4-ish seconds. But the fact it's not coming down is bad news for Ruddo and Jano. They're going to get to the point in a minute where they're just going to start squabbling for third, and Frederick can sail away. Swargy's made a massive error somewhere. The gap now between him and Bruce Lee Harding is now 19 seconds. So that's pretty much that battle done and dusted. I want to say it probably happened at the death chicane as well, and we missed it. 8 cars on track and I still managed to miss action. How do you work that out? So here I come, yet again another absolute dominant performance. But a good nod to Frederick G at the minute. Has been one of the more consistent drivers today, I think, in the non-alien class. As it stands, he's negotiated the death chicane nicely every single time. He did keep Hirochrome honest for a little bit, and to be fair, 4 seconds isn't really that much when you consider how fast Hirochrome actually is. And building a gap over the likes of Ruddo and Jano is no small feat as well. These two guys in their own right are very, very fast dudes indeed. They're now starting to squabble a little bit though. That gap back down to 4 tenths. We've got about another 2 laps left in this one as the guys cross the line. 3 minutes on the timer, 1:40 a lap, so the timer will run out halfway through lap 13. As Jano does go for a move, Ruddo goes defensive, and again holds firm in that final podium position. There are quite a few overtaking opportunities at Dragon Trail Seaside, and there's quite a lot of opportunities for people to make mistakes as well, so this battle is far from over. 2 laps remaining. Just see how much Jano closes up over braking. Ruddo's then able to get on the power and just bring that gap back up to 4 tenths. This is where the slipstream really comes into its own, though. Fast flowing S's section. Jano's just going to be able to use the pocket of air that's made by the Megane in front of it to really reel that gap down. Just 2.5 tenths the gap now between them. Jano is going to be in range of a late braking manoeuvre, Daniel Ricciardo-esque, but he decides against it, and then you're into the virtual yellow zone. So by the time he gets close enough, he can't really make a move. I thought I saw Hirochrome make a mistake then. I didn't. It's looking like, yeah, these guys very close. Jano gets through that this time without error and is right on the back of Ruddo now. These two less than a tenth apart. Ruddo's going to make him take the long way around, though. You don't want to be the outside here, so Jano was going to do that, but potentially look for the switchback. Ruddo covers that off nicely, moving to the apex zone. Jano pushes that hard is onto the grass. That is going to lose him a lot of speed going down the main straight, but he's in the slipstream, so he should be able to recover some of that pace. A second slower that lap for Jano on his previous best. So, final lap, gents. If you're going to do it, Jano, this lap is the one. Let's have a quick flick through the field, see how everyone else is going on. P-Gib holding P5 for the time being. Bruce Lee Harding, P6 for the Dread driver. JPH P7. Swargy has had a massive mare down to P8. We've completely missed that while covering the Ruddo and Jano issue. Swargy's obviously not enjoying his day out, but that does promote everyone else up a position. Let's keep an eye on this. Jano 1.4 seconds back now, so he's gonna have to count on a mistake being made by Ruddo. Meanwhile, Ruddo has reeled in Frederick G. 1.5 seconds the gap between these guys now, but just 20 seconds left on the clock. You've got to say there's not a lot of opportunity for the order to change much from what it is. How's the race at the front doing? The race at the front is being led by Hirochrome, 7 seconds ahead. He's got over his chicane of Death Demons by the looks of things. Frederick G's had a brilliant race up in P2. He has been slowly getting caught by Ruddo. It's kind of yo-yoed a little bit. And Ruddo and Jano have had their little squabble through the race as well, but maximum plaudits go to this man in the number 32 Joyce Design car. Hirakram claims yet another victory in the Power Max Racing E-Series and takes pole position, fastest lap and the win in round number 4. Frederick G, a great performance by Frederick this time around, P2 for him, and Ruddo just about sees off Jano for the final podium position. P Gibb, a good race for P Gibb. Overall, kind of event free after the first few laps, but he's kept his head. P5 for him. The Dread car comes in P6. Last time's winner is going to go across the line backwards. And JPX99, honourable mention, just never gives up, keeps going. He's going to come home in P7. And Swargy, who's going to finish a lap down from everyone else, by the sounds of what he's saying, didn't really have a good day out, did you, Swarg? So P8 for Swargy. So that's it for your Dragon Trail Seaside race. If you want to let me know what the next track is, that'd be awesome, because I can't remember. Starting to this Swargs, I've gone through that phase, mate. It happens, you know what I mean, it happens. So you need to give yourself some time off sometimes. You always welcome to race with us though, bud, you know that. So that is it for that one. Let's just save the replay so I can get some pictures. You don't need to apologise, Swargy, mate. If you're not feeling it, you're not feeling it. You know what I mean? It's fine. Don't sweat it, homie. Big Gib, have a feeling I may get a pen for lap 1. Was a gap between Bobby and Ruddo. After that contact, both closed it as I was between Mayhem and Sood. Coyote M. Oh, I hate that track. Lap 1 incidents, P Gib. I mean, the contact's pretty much inevitable. Especially, I mean, you've got to admit this Megane field is ridiculously close, so there's not a lot sort of between it in terms of quality. I mean, there's Hirakram and then there's everyone else, of course. But yeah, we'll see what comes of it. You tend not to get too many instance lodged on this. People just tend to sort it out in chat, and whatever comes of it comes of it. Jano, mate, that chicane was your undoing. Like, I was willing you on because that battle you had with Ruddo was most of the video. When you watch it back, you'll see it. But every time you got close, sort of within 4 attempts, you'd nudge that curb or you'd nudge the wall, and it'd just knock you back again. Racing quite good. Plan had a spin and car jumped off the curb. Yeah, mate. The Megane don't like the curbs, does it? And there's a lot of them here. And you kind of have to take the curbs to get the best lap time, so it's a toss-up between what you do. I think Hirakram learned early on just to avoid him, because he was running it the first couple of laps. He hit, and then he started just edging off a little bit through that chicane. So, but yeah, a good race. To be fair, there was it was a bit bumpy the first few laps. I won't lie. We obviously lost Bobby early on, then Swargs later on in the race. Nice to have more cars in the field. So I don't get why more people don't race this series. I really don't, because it's a damn good series. And it doesn't take up a lot of time. What we've been going 40 minutes. That's including practice. It's not a lot of time out your week, is it? So, if you're watching this, you want to get involved. Just look up NxtGen Race on Facebook and get involved in it that way. Try drifting at some point. Yeah, they're not. Well, they are. I guess they can be turned into drift cars, but yeah, it doesn't really work, does it? Curb through me in the chicane. Yeah, you do, man. You do. The fastest way to do it, Jano, in theory, is to hook your tyre on the inside of the second curb. But that will just launch your car into hyperspace if you hit it at the wrong angle. So, yeah. I did a few laps practice and I found that I was in the wall first lap. So, and if it's any consolation, Hirakram's done it. Hirakram was the first one to nail it into the wall as well. So, yeah. Right, that's it for me. Kyoto Yamagiwa next week, so another fictional Gran Turismo circuit. Slightly longer circuit, quite a lot of elevation changes, S's, hairpins along it, so that track's kind of got everything. So check out that one next week. if you want to race in this series, and please do, because we need drivers, because for some reason we only had like 7 or 8 tonight, get involved in NxtGen Racing on Facebook. I will give a final thank you to PowerMaxed for their ongoing support of this league, and all the other leagues that they've got involved in. So a big thank you to the sponsors and the sponsors of NxtGen as well for the continuing work they're doing. It enables the club to get involved in a lot of things. Yep, cheers P-Gib, thanks you to everyone for getting involved in the chat as well. I do read every single comment, and really appreciate your engagement. My phone's on 4%, it's gonna die, so I'm gonna log off now and I'll catch you on the next one. In terms of racing, I'm kind of in my mid-season break right now, so I'll be starting up my leagues again. I do race on Tuesdays, so if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll see the Infinity GT stuff, though that's my racing. So have a look at that, and yeah, subscribe, follow, like, send me money, whatever you want to do. Peace out. A-Town.